Hey everybody, this is your old pal Uncle Hondo, your Sports Illustrated Las Vegas Raiders beat writer from the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. This guy right here is my assistant beat writer, one of my favorite guys in the world, the great Zeke Trezevant. We love him, we appreciate him. We got so much to get into today, but before we get started, I want to share something. So Zeke and I are very proud to work for SI and all the work that we get to do, and we got some great things coming. And so you're going to begin seeing a transition on our website to even more enhanced for all of you. So, for example, if Zeke's writing about Devontae Adams making a catch, he'll be able to actually put the highlight in the story. That's just one of many new features coming. So over these next few days, there's going to be a little bit of a transition, and what a perfect time to do it because we're in NFL and it's not yet draft and NCAA tournaments going on, which is where a lot of you are spending your time. Go Green, Michigan State, Tom Izzo. Anyways, so but we're really excited about a bunch of new stuff we're going to be offered. We're going to continue to offer you the most coverage of your beloved Raiders, absolutely free. It's going to be exciting. Just be over these next couple days. We're learning how to work with a new system too. So, but be patient with us. We're so excited. We're about our future. Got a lot of good things coming. We can't tell you about today, but I can tell you, I think Zeke would agree. We're both pretty excited. Zeke, I'm excited about this. What SI is doing. We're going to end up being, well, we'll wait and announce it when it happens, but there's some great things happening, and we're just making ourselves bigger, wider, and better. Your thoughts on don't be specific, but on the changes that are coming.
100%. I mean, that's always our goal, is to get better and to kind of change with the times, if you will. And I mean, similar to the NFL, like if you're not ahead of the game, you're kind of behind of the game. So, we're just trying to get ahead and do what we do. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to where we can get to the point where we can talk about it publicly, and that time will come soon.
Very, very soon. So we're excited over this few days of transition. Now, when we're done, I'm headed to the owners' meetings. I'm headed to Tampa, and going to be down to Tampa, to Orlando. Going to be down at the owners' meeting. Going to talk with Tom Telesco, hopefully Antonio Pierce, Mark Davis. It's going to be a great time getting Raider information for all you guys. But before we get started today, Zeke, I feel like we're back in second grade. Show and tell. Take it away, buddy.
Yes, sir, 100%. So Uncle Hondo promised me some Air Forces. I wanted to let you know and show you that he got me my all black boys. He came through with what he said he would do. 100%.
Have you worn them yet?
Yes, sir. They feel great on my feet. I got to break them in. You got to break in Air Forces. And once you get them in the first couple, 2-3 times, they're working perfectly. Love it.
Now, let me tell you, I wore mine one time to take a picture, and that's when all hell broke loose because I had white socks. And I've not worn them. I'm going to save them for game day.
No, that makes complete sense. And make sure you wear black socks with those, please, for everybody involved.
Oh, no. That's why Shannon had to come on the podcast, and she's just like, oh, God. Oh, dear God. She had to tell everyone, don't judge me. All right. Now, we're going to be all Raiders today, but before we go Raiders, Zeke and I have a little bit of house cleaning. Zeke and I like to go out to eat together. And Zeke, I got to tell you something. Since it's not 200 million degrees here yet, last night we set up fire in the back in the fire pit, and we cooked wild boar tenderloin barbecued.
Wild boar?
Yeah. And I told Shannon, all we need is some tortillas, and Zeke and I would be very comfortable right here. Would we not?
That would be all we needed. That would be all we needed to be two happy gentlemen, for sure.
So good, Zeke. Oh, my goodness. Oh, good. All right. Moving along. Now we're going to talk. Everyone's going to be like, shut up and get to the Raiders. All right, here we go. Zeke, I wrote, but I talked about this yesterday extensively. There is an excitement in my 5 years of covering this team I have not sensed. This is like, it is a raising crescendo since the move from Oakland. Now, you're a fan. I have not felt what I felt when I covered Raiders games before, and I didn't cover them much, but I covered a few of them, and the crowd was just unbelievable. It's not been that way at Allegiant. When they played the Bolts to go to the playoffs with Rich Bisaccia, it was rocking. Last year, last game of the year, was rocking. But you can sense the momentum. You can sense Raider Nation saying, Mark Davis, Antonio Pierce, give us a reason to love you. We do love you. We haven't divorced. We've just separated. We've sold our tickets because we're just tired of being told just win, and we haven't. There is a growing sense of this could be our time. As I go through the airports, you were teasing me last night at a company meeting about how you're all over the country, and I am. I'm getting stopped in airports. I'm getting emails. We are growing exponentially. Uh, there's a building excitement. Zeke, tell me you're sensing it. I mean, well, you're one of them. You better be
Yeah,
sensing
so
it.
I would say there's the one thing I'll point out is the sense of the unknown, right? I think one of the bad things, the negative things about Josh McDaniels is you kind of knew what to expect. You knew what play was coming. You knew what he was going to say at the press conference. I think it's completely different here now. You really don't know what's going to happen from day to day in Raider Nation. When the season hits, you're not going to know what's going to happen from week to week. So that, and then I also think the fact that Mark Davis has basically admitted to some mistakes in the past. Between the moves he's made, he's admitted to making some mistakes. And I think people can appreciate that. They can appreciate the fact that he says, you know what, I made a mistake. Let's turn it around instead of, letting go 16, 17 weeks and then admitting the mistake. He cut ties halfway through the season. He started making changes as soon as he could. I think that also brings a sense of excitement of, hey, our owner knows when he needs to make a change and he's not afraid to make it. That breeds a lot of excitement as well, for sure.
Zeke, I think one of the things that's endearing about Mark Davis to fans is I think it frustrates him a little bit. He doesn't know football like his dad. Well, that's not true. I think it frustrates him a lot. But he is genuine and he's sincere. And I think that is why he gets so much patience from Raider Nation and why I think they embrace him. Plus, they watched him grow up. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yes, but I would also point out the fact that I think the fans, in this sense, they kind of follow the players, right? So they realize that the players trust in Mark. So they feel like, okay, if the guys in the locker room trust him, okay, maybe, and I'm not even saying it's necessarily a conscious thought that fans are having. It might be a subconscious thought, but they realize, hey, if the Max Crosby's, if the Devontae, nobody on the team has said a bad word about the owner. It has not even come close. So I think fans kind of follow that lead as well. And you're right. I think the fact that he's such a genuine guy, he's very straightforward, that gives him the benefit of the doubt, and that goes a long way too.
All right. So, Zeke, let's talk about offseason. They re-signed Butler and Jenkins, which you and I felt like had to happen. That was a priority. But then they add Christian Wilkins, Max Crosby, plus a few pounds, same intensity, everything, and they add him to the inside. Dear Lord, Zeke, that defensive line is stout.
Yeah, to say the least, right? They have to be one of the best in the entire National Football League, from defensive end to defensive end. They have to be one of the best. But it just takes the whole defense to another level, right? The pass rush is where it starts and ends, right? So now you might not necessarily have the best defensive backs in the league, but you have one of the best defensive lines in the league. And guess what? Now the quarterback has less time to throw. The running back's not getting past the first level as much. A lot of things change with Wilkins being there for sure.
And then Zeke, they still could go in the first round with a defensive tackle. There is a lot of opportunity for them to move in a lot of different directions. And this brings us to my next question. Tom Telesco has made sure that, and I have to be careful now, Zeke, because they've started a drinking game and we don't want Raider Nation getting drunk listening to our podcast. But they have went out and they have been very disciplined. They have been very I'm trying to watch my words here. I don't want any drinking it, but they've been disciplined and relevant, signing guys, salary cap discipline, saying, listen, we understand this guy's worth 10, so we're going to offer him 10. We're not offering him 10-5. We're not going to offer him 9-5. They let Butler and Jenkins go out. They talked to some other teams. They come back, wow, the Raiders were really fair. They come back and re-sign. I love the way this offseason has went for the team and Tom Telesco. I understand everybody wants 10 sexy signings, but there's a salary cap, and you got people potentially down the road. They're going to not probably, If guys continue to perform, they got to re-sign Coons. They're going to at some point have to re-sign Parham, Jack Jones. I mean, there's a lot of young talent on this team that's going to need Jack. And I just like the way they're operating. Your thoughts, Zeke?
I love it. I love it. I think what Tom has done is he's been smart. And I also think he's been very strategic. That's the word that I've used a couple of times. I think he's plugged holes. I think he's been very foresightful in terms of, hey, let me think ahead, right? Let me make sure I've got 3 running backs on the team. That was one of the big moves that I paid attention to. Now he's got 3 levels of and 3 different types of running backs in that backfield. Very smart. And I like what he's done so far.
I had somebody email me and I should have kept it. I didn't. I'm sorry. I get so much email, but basically saying, oh, yeah, you're telling us how great this guy is. Josh Jacobs leaves. He signs Alexander Madison like that. I literally thought to myself, Alexander Madison was not supposed to be Josh Jacobs. Zamir White's supposed to become the bell cow. You're looking for guys to fill roles. That's why, I mean, listen, Harrison Bryant alone, we're not pretending that he's Brock Bowers. We're not pretending he's Michael Mayer. He's an undeveloped guy that has shown some flashes. You get him for the right price. If he becomes who you think he is, he's one of the guys you'll re-sign. But everything he's shown has given you a reason to be optimistic. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Agree?
100%. I mean, you just really have to pay attention to the moves that Tom has made. I think a lot of fans forget that in free agency, because of, like you said, the salary cap, you're really only going to get 1, maybe 2 really big signings, and then the rest you kind of have to build around there. And Telesco's done a good job of finding free agents off the street, if you will, and re-signing the ones on his own team. You just got to pay attention to what Telesco is doing. And he's been, he's going to show you what he has. So it's coming.
All right. So we know they're going to add another quarterback. That's a given. We know that. So we'll get to that in a minute. I want to just start. AP, I mean, I'm sitting 18 inches from the guy in Indy, and he says, we know whoever we sign or get, they're going to have to beat out Aiden. You and I are around him. We know him. He's genuine. There is not a disingenuous bone in his body. You are not listening thinking, okay, he's saying this. Does he mean? No, he says what he means. We all know there's going to be real competition, and there should be. Should be. Do you think Minshew would beat out Aiden O'Connell?
I think potentially, but I think this is what I think in terms of AP. I think just based off of some of the things I've heard him say this season, I think he believes in Aiden. I think he believes Aiden can win and will win the starting position. Can Minshew do it? Yes, 100%. There's a potential. He's got plenty of starting experience. He's been a competent backup before. Can he? Yes. But I think everyone is kind of rooting for Aiden to win it. However quiet it may be. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I know what the locker room loves about Antonio is he just speaks his mind. There's no wondering. There's no, hey, what do you think he meant by this? Or what about they know what he meant. And his Aiden, I love you. You're my guy. I'm riding the horse. But it's your job to keep everybody off. You're the one that's got to stay on the horse. I love it. It's like King of the Mountain. You're my guy, but you better stay King of the Mountain. I just love that. And the team loves it. All right. Yeah. We're going to get back to quarterback in the draft in a minute, but now I got to talk about AP. The Raiders PR staff does a great job of keeping the message going. And around the NFL, which is a very buttoned up league, people like that. That is not AP. He says whatever he wants, whenever he wants. You don't tell him what to do. He's the big dog and he knows it. I find him terribly refreshing. I genuinely like him as a person, consider him a friend. I really like him as a person. And I like listen, we all know I was hired to be fired. And when I get fired from this job, I still have to live with me. So I'm going to be me. I'm going to be me. Zeke, I cannot tell you. In talking to our other Sports Illustrated beat writers around the country, and you know that I do, like at the combine and all this, and talking to them on the phone as we go through all this transition, I cannot tell you how many guys are like, I am so jealous you get to cover AP, man. He just looks fun. I think he's great for the NFL. I think he's great because I think we're getting back a little bit of that Raider spirit. We're going to do it our way. We're going to be ourselves. You don't like it, lump it. We are who we are. Zeke?
Yeah, listen, I think with AP, I think he's very very straightforward. And just like you said, the players were sitting there wondering, hey, what does he mean by this? We us in the media were wondering the same thing. We had to read through the lines all the time too, right? And that got kind of tiresome. At least with AP, you know, for the most part, if you ask him a question, he's going to give you whatever it is you're looking for and then some in a lot of different cases. And it makes the job fun. It makes the fans want to pay attention to what the coach is saying now instead of, oh, it's just a coach's, interview. No, they want to know what AP is saying. So yeah, AP is a breath of fresh air, and he was from the time that he stepped in as interim head coach.
All right, I got an email I got to read you. Okay, this comes from I'm trying to respect Micalia or Micalia. I apologize. Listen, my name's Hondo, and I hate it when people get I've been called Hondu, Honda, all of it. So I'm sorry, Micalia. I'm trying to get it right. Hondo, let me tell you about the power of AP. I hate Skip Bayless. The word hate probably isn't strong enough. I loathe him. I don't even know if I saw him laying in the street needing help if I would stop. Can't stand him. But now I have to listen to Skip Bayless every day because of his rankest support of Antonio Pierce. Now I find myself on Team Skip Bayless. I almost feel like I need to be showering while I watch his show. But that's the power of AP. He's a uniter. Perhaps he'll run for president when his coaching career is over with his ability to unite the nation.
Hey, Michaela must have been speaking about Raider Nation, but yes, I 100% agree. He has the ability to, bring a lot of different people together and get everybody, on the same page. And it's been pretty interesting to watch for sure.
So my mom gives me a message. This is a woman in her late 80s, not in the best of health. She knows I'm going to the owner meeting. She said, son, are you going to see Mr. Pierce? She calls him Mr. Pierce. I said, yes. Would you do me a favor? I said, sure. Would you tell him he is so handsome that he needs to smile more? He's just so handsome. And when he smiles, he may be the most handsome man in the world. I said to my mother, wow, thanks, Mom. I'm your son.
Yeah, she completely bypassed her son, but it's all good. It's all good. AP is a man of the people.
I know this. He's got the 87-year-old white lady market cornered because my mom and her little friends, because I watch the Raiders because what?
If he could get her, he could get any demographic. There it is.
Oh my gosh. And listen, my mom is from Providence, Rhode Island, so she's a lifelong New England Patriot fan. Ugh.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. And so since I started covering the Raiders now, she's all in on the Raiders. And since Antonio Pierce took over, oh dear God, it's Antonio this, Antonio.
Hey, it's AP. It's definitely AP.
Oh, it's all AP. She's telling all the ladies. She goes, all my friends come over for tea, and we watch every single time that you put a video up of him, and we're all like, he's just so handsome. Look how strong he looks. I'm like, Mom, okay, stop.
You're like, relax, Mom. Relax.
So, anyways, I'm looking forward to talking to AP about that. You got the old white woman market cornered. All right, let's talk about the Raiders situation. Telesco has put them in a great spot because now nobody knows what they're doing. Now everybody's guessing. So I want to talk to you. I want to go up. Bears are taking Caleb Williams. Washington's going to take Jaden Daniels. And New England is probably going to take J.J. McCarthy. if Indianapolis trades, and I think that's a big if. I'm not. I mean Arizona, excuse me, and I think that's a big if. But if they trade, Drake May will go for. If not, I think they take Marvin Harrison. And then you sit there with the Bolts, who could trade back to let somebody take Drake May, or Neighbors, who's flying up the boards. I don't think Drake May gets past 6 with the Giants. We were the first to report that we were hearing J.J. McCarthy's going to go high. I'm asking you, as this board begins to settle and you kind of start to see things, Telesco has set himself up. There's going to be offensive linemen that are special, corners. There's going to be some defensive players. There is going to be some studs at 13. And nobody really knows what the Raiders are going to do because of how Telesco's filled needs. His impact on the draft has already been felt across the league. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree. So I think one thing that a lot of people forget about the NFL draft is that part of the pick, who you pick is who the person in front of you and behind you picks as well. So you're trying to predict what other teams are doing. And Telesco's now put himself in a position where another team can't hold him hostage because they know what he has to do or what he needs to do. He's filled so many different holes. If he needs to go up, if he needs to go back, he can make that happen. So I think there's plenty of people that he can draft at 13 that will still be a pretty good fit on the team. And he just has to take advantage of being at 13 without trading the house to potentially move up.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me. And what I really like that he's done is the Raiders are a wild card again. And not a wild card because you're thinking, oh my God, are they going to make a stupid pick? Now it's, oh my God, they've got a spot. We asked him at the combine. He's not done a lot of trading back in his career. It's just not what he's done. And he's like, I'm not against it. I haven't had a lot of opportunity. There's going to be a lot of people that want that pick. And there's going to be a lot of great players there. So the fascinating part is, and I've said this now, this is the 4th time. Somebody should listen. There may be a test. If he could trade down into that 17 to 25 range, because a team in that range really likes somebody at 13 and still get a guy that he has projected and pick up another second rounder, I'm telling you, this discipline and relevance approach is already making the Raiders better, Zeke.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, they're being put in a position where he can do whatever he wants to do. Because again, back to the very first thing we were saying about the Raiders, they're not that far off, and that was before the free agent signing. So they're even closer now. Tom has a lot of things he can do, and he's going to make the right decision in a very, very modest way, a very low key way that's best for the team for sure.
Throw this out there. What would you think if they added a Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle from Texas? I mean, if they add another piece on that defensive line.
Yeah, I'm biased. If you ask me, should you add to the defense, I'm going to say yes every time, especially the defensive line. You know why I feel that way, Hondo. So, yes, I think it would be a great investment, even more so into their defensive line if they were to bring in a guy like Murphy. But I still think cornerback is some place that they should consider drafting high. But, yeah, if you're not going corner, defensive line and just kind of reinforcing the defensive line depth, yeah, they would be pretty nasty if you ask me.
And we've said this 100 times, nothing imminent, but there still is potential of addressing needs in a trade. And could be a draft day trade.
Right? There's still plenty of time to make a lot of different moves. It's still early. And that's what makes the moves that Telesco has made even better is because he made them so early. And there's still plenty of time to do work. So it's exciting, man. I don't know how anybody can not be excited about where these guys are right now.
Read my email. Just read my email. There are a group that are just mad about everything. All right. Now, when you look at the cost of moving up, it's huge. To move to Chicago's 1, and they could have very early in the process, which we reported would have been 3 1s and 3 2s. But now people are locked in. Everyone's like, well, they got to move up. Okay, but if you don't have somebody willing to trade with you to move up, You got to have, you can't, years ago, Jim Tressel,
Dance.
yeah, told me him and I were having lunch together. He was the great Ohio State coach. And Jim Tressel and I, he's a friend, we're having lunch. And this guy walks by and he goes, OH. Tressel goes, IO. And he goes, I hate Michigan. Tressel goes, I don't. And I look and I go, this is Ohio State football coach. He goes, these people that hate your rival, he goes, you can want to beat them. I want to beat Michigan worse than anyone. He goes, but I want them undefeated when I play them every year. You can't teeter without a totter. I don't think
100%. I agree.
that, to me, that's that you want that balance, that fire. Okay, Zeke, big one here. Thursday night to start the season. Opening night in Arrowhead. Getting their rings. Hanging a banner. Let's say that even Taylor Swift's going to sing the national anthem. How bad do you want to see the silver and black in Arrowhead to kick off the season? Dear Lord, let this happen.
I'm curious as to who would be better to be put in that position than the Las Vegas Raiders, right? Like that would be so fitting. I mean, you got to think about, hey, what happened in Arrowhead this past season, right? And for that to be come on, don't get me started, Hano. That would be the move. That would be must-see TV if you ask me. It would be must-see TV.
I would think you'd be making that trip to Kansas City with me if that's the case.
Let's do it.
All right. So here is what I find fascinating. And this is where I'm going with that Jim Tressel, you can't teeter without a totter. The Raiders are not intimidated by the Chiefs in the least bit. There's no intimidation. They want that game. But I get emails from fans saying, I don't like the disrespect. No, there is none. Andy Reid's the best coach in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. Now, I think there are real issues surrounding Kelsey. You can see it in his sideline antics, throwing helmets on Christmas Day. The one game where he's pushed Andy Reid. I think that was the Super Bowl. But I think the pressure's getting to him. But it's not disrespect. The Raiders know these are the champions. They know if we're going to get to where we want to go, we got to beat them. And they've only done it twice in 5 years. I don't think it's any disrespect. This is why I want to ask you, because you know what's going on as well. I don't think there's any disrespect. I think it's a sense of, if we want respect, we got to take you on. I don't have any issue with the Raiders' approach to the Chiefs. Do you?
No, I think they got to have that kind of mentality too. And I think if we're talking about differences, I think that's one of the major differences between this coaching staff and the last one, is that they're going to hang their feelings on their shoulders, and they're going to let you know how they feel, and they're not going to back down just because you're Kansas City and you've won the last two and you won the division. That doesn't matter to Antonio Pierce. Like, you got to remember who's leading the team. So there's no disrespect. If anything, I think it's a mutual respect. I think it's the opposite. I think both sides highly respects the other, and that's what you see every time they play each other. And that's what you hear in the offseason from AP and Max and all those guys. I think they respect
and
the hell
Patrick
out of
and Andy.
Yeah, it goes both ways. They both publicly have talked about how much they respect the other team. So I think it's a healthy mutual respect between both teams, for sure, if you ask me.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, Zeke. So obviously, free agency, we've talked about it. It goes in waves. It's going to go all the way through training camp. Remember last year, the Raiders had talked to Marcus Peters, but they didn't want him. And they knew he was out there. He knew the price that he wanted. They weren't willing to pay it. And then they get closer to the season. They're like, listen, some of our guys aren't coming along at the pace we expected. They went out and paid Marcus Peters. I think, and I'm not blaming them, I think fans see free agency as 3 days. And you need to see free agency as a marathon. It certainly is not a sprint.
Oh, I completely agree. You got to play the long game in free agency, because you never know what's going to happen down the road, who may become a free agent later, or who may become available later down the road, whether it's free agency, whether it's a trade that you could have made had you been a little bit more patient. So yeah, you have to play the long game when it comes to free agency. And that's what makes it exciting. And that's what also makes it exciting when you go get a Christian Wilkins that early in it, in free agencies, because you can go at the back end of free agency and still add to the team. So I'm sorry, I'm excited, but just as somebody who's been paying attention to every little move they made and could potentially make, They're knocking. They're knocking.
This is why I think we're a good team. I'm the analytical guy who's not emotionally attached. You are the guy who's analytical but completely emotionally attached. Like, it's a good team.
100%. We work well together.
All right. So here's the deal. I'm going to put you in Tom Telesco's chair. You got a lot of people wanting you to trade for your spot. There's no real need for you to move up because you're not going to be able to get a Jaden or a JJ. So you're going to stay at 13 because there's one guy that you think no matter what you're being offered, I got to have that guy. Who is Zeke Trezevant picking?
So I want you to know that it always makes me nervous when you tell me you're going to put me in Tom Telesco's chair, because that's a whole nother type of pressure. Like, oh my God, I don't know. But I would say, I keep forgetting his name. Is it Terrion, the cornerback from Bama?
Terrion Arnold.
Yes, I would say him. Or honestly, like, and I said this maybe 3 or 4 podcasts ago, Michael Penix out of Washington. I think that could be a sneaky good pick at 13. I know it's not likely to happen, but I think part of why Telesco doesn't want you to know what he's going to do is so the guy he wants is available. I think that's part of the game, right? That's why you throw so many smoke screens. So do I think the conventional and most logical idea would be to go the cornerback route? 1,000,000%. That's what I would do off the top of my head, right? But let's say that either that cornerback, that top tier cornerback isn't there, or for some reason they're just in love with Penix. I think that would be, I think it's a good move.
I'm going to tell you, let's talk about Penix for a minute, because what a great kid. Just, I mean, salt of the earth kid. And the issues around him have nothing to do with talent, nothing to do with character. It's injury.
Yeah, it's injury.
And here's, 100%. Yeah, nothing else. Great kid, great person, great character, great leader, all of it. But here's the problem with that. There are teams who every year pick at the top of the draft because they don't know how to draft. And when you're picking at 13, you can't go pick somebody with a repetitive injury history, because you're taking, it's like Jimmy Garoppolo. How many times did we say last year, we like Jimmy? There was nothing personal with Jimmy. We thought good quarterback. But with his injury history, and with Tyree, I've had some people say, well, why would you say that? Okay, with Tyree, well, Tyree didn't have a history. It was one injury. That's the whole issue. Nobody's hating on Penix. I don't know anybody that hates on Penix. But at 13, if you hit, it's a big hit. But if you miss,
yeah,
it's a
big.
massive failure.
Yes. And it's even bigger if you fail at, again, as we always say, if you mess up at quarterback, it's even bigger, especially when you have Aiden already there. So yeah, it's definitely a risk for many reasons taking Penix. So definitely for me, I would say cornerback first, especially I feel like by the time 13 hits, most of the top tier quarterbacks, if not all of them, are going to still be available. So I would go that route if I was in Tom Telesco's chair.
You don't like that chair. You want out of that chair as quick as you can get.
That's a hot chair, man. I can tell you right now. Like mentally, if I put myself in Tom's chair, I'm not ready for that.
All right, Zeke, I'm now going to put you in Antonio Pierce's chair. Okay?
Okay.
What is the biggest change you want to see in this team now that he has his staff? It's his thing. What's the biggest thing you want to see out of this Raider football team? What are you going to be watching with me at OTA minicamp thinking, offense. I got to see this?
I have to see some continuity on offense. I have to see the offense be able to consistently move the ball. At the very least, they cannot be as inept as they were for a lot of last season. So for me, all eyes on the offense this offseason. They have to be able to move the ball. You can't go a full 17 games leaving the defense in bad positions. I want to see some progress from the offense for sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, and I know that that's top of mind, getting attention. Last thing, of all the free agents out there, is there one guy that you're sitting here thinking today, man, I really hope they're able to go get him?
I'll be honest with you. I actually have thought about this, right? Because I pay attention to who's still available. I'll be honest with you. As of right now, no. And I'm only saying that because the NFL draft is not happening yet. I want to see what they do there. because after the NFL draft, depending on what Tom does, he might not need a whole lot of, or he might be able to not, have to pay as much for a free agent because he's filled more holes through the draft. So not right now, but maybe in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you and I are on the same page. I can see a couple of guys that they have some offers to that would fit, that are role players. I can see one or maybe two in a potential trade. But yeah, I think you're going to have to let the board come to you and watch how that develops. All right, Zeke, last thing from me that I think is a big one is you're watching so many people participate. You're watching so many players in there working hard. Now they're not meeting with coaches because this isn't what they're allowed to do. I mean, if they see them, they're allowed to say, "Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. What's up?" But they're in there working. This Raider team. Now you're probably too young to remember this, but there's a movie, Rocky 3, Eye of the Tiger. They got that eye of the tiger, don't they? This group,
They're
hungry.
They're hungry, and again, I feel like you can sense it because they know how close they were last season. If they were a mile away from the playoffs last season, I don't think maybe that hunger is there as much because they would feel like they have so much more to get there, to do to get there. But I think they realize, hey, we were a few drops of ball here and there, a lot of things that they could have controlled themselves from being away in the playoffs, and I feel like they know that, and that's why they're going so hard this offseason. So I expect big things of them coming this season for sure.
All right. He's Zeke Trezevant. Zeke, tell him your X handle real quick.
Yes, sir. EZ Trezevant. So if you type in the letter EZT as in Tom, REZ, it should pop up. So EZ Trezevant for Ezekiel Trezevant. Please follow me. I'll follow back.
All right. Oh, you follow back. Look at
Yeah,
you. You're
listen,
a giver.
I'm trying to get better at this whole X/Twitter thing. I gotta make some progress there.
Good for you. All right, everybody. So listen, check him out. You can go to my IG, which is Hondo SR, as well as my X, formerly known as Twitter, at Hondo Carpenter. Zeke, stay in the line. Got something I want to talk to you about, but appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for being with us today. Got to have some Raider emails, and I'll be down at the owners' meetings also. So a lot of good going on. We'll see you all again real soon. Zeke, thanks for being with us, buddy.